Jayme Closs was just 13 years old when her parents were murdered in front of her and she was kidnapped by a stranger with a horrifying plan. For 88 days, she was hidden, threatened, and silenced. But what the world didn't expect was that Jayme would save herself. This is the chilling and courageous story of how she survived, the twisted mind behind it, and how he was finally brought to justice. At 12:53 a.m, 911 dispatchers received a mysterious call, but nothing other than a struggle and panic could be heard before the line went dead.
Sharon County 911, where is your husband?
Somebody else is on from. Hello?
Hello?
Dispatchers tried calling the number back, but it went straight to voicemail. Despite no details being given, police were dispatched to the scene immediately, but what awaited them was horrifying. In the quiet town of Barron, Wisconsin, the Closs household were all asleep until 13-year-old Jayme was awoken by their dog barking. Curious, she looked out of her bedroom window, but this curiosity soon turned to fear after seeing a car creeping up their driveway with no headlights on. She quickly woke up her parents, 46-year-old Denise and 56-year-old James. James went downstairs to investigate, while Jayme and her mum hid in the bathroom. At the front door, James confronted the stranger, dressed in a black coat and ski mask, and demanded to see his badge. Instead, the masked man raised a shotgun and ordered the door be opened. But when James refused, the stranger fired a single shot through the glass door, hitting James in the head. Jayme heard the gunshot and instantly knew her father was gone. In a panic, Denise dialed 911, but her efforts were cut short. After searching the entire house and noticing that the bathroom door was locked, the intruder forced his way inside to find Jayme and Denise huddled together in the bathtub. Armed with a shotgun, the intruder demanded Denise put duct tape over Jayme's mouth. She struggled to do so though with trembling hands, so without hesitation, he set the shotgun on the bathroom sink and he took over himself. He silenced Jayme with the tape, then bound her wrists and her ankles. Denise was still in the bathtub, frozen in fear, but Jayme could do nothing but watch as he then turned the shotgun on her mother and fired a single shot to her head. He then dragged Jayme from the bathroom, out of her home, and forced her into the trunk of his car and fled. Just 4 minutes after the 911 call, police arrived at the gruesome scene. The front door had been blasted open with a single shot, and inside, James and Denise were found deceased, and their 13-year-old daughter was nowhere to be seen. Tragically, Jayme could hear the sirens of these officers as they drove past. Her abductor had pulled over briefly just 20 seconds after leaving the house, watching the flashing lights as they arrived. He then drove nearly 70 miles north to his remote cabin in Gordon, Wisconsin, with Jayme locked in his boot. Once there, Jayme's abductor sat her on the floor in the hallway, removed the tape from her mouth, wrists and ankles, and asked her to change her clothes. He soon realised that he had no clothes for a 13-year-old girl, so he gave her his shirt and pyjama bottoms. Crying and scared, Jayme did as she was told. He threatened that if she even tried to escape, bad things would happen to her. So who was this despicable man that had just kidnapped a 13-year-old girl and killed her parents right in front of her? Who could be so cold and calculated, so heartless? That would be 21-year-old Jake Thomas Patterson. Jake grew up in rural northwestern Wisconsin, and after his parents divorced at around the age of 10, he spent more and more time in his dad's isolated cabin, the very same cabin he imprisoned Jayme. Classmates remember him as smart yet quiet, and after graduating from Northwood High School, he briefly enlisted in the US Marines Corps, but was discharged only a month later due to health issues. From here, he became increasingly isolated, locking himself away from friends and family. But behind the silence, something sinister was growing within him. Jake kept Jayme locked away under his bed for 88 days. He barricaded the space with weighted laundry bins so that she couldn't see out, but also so he could tell immediately if she had tried to escape. He would keep her under there for up to 12 hours at a time, with no food, no water, and no toilet breaks. He obviously wanted nobody to know that she was there. So if friends came around, and when his dad visited every Saturday, Jake had music playing in his bedroom, both to drown out the noise that she might make, and also to prevent Jayme from hearing what was happening. This routine continued even on Christmas Day. Reportedly, Jake hosted a Christmas party at his home, with guests completely unaware that Jayme was there, hidden under Jake's bed. She was left yet again for another 12 hours that day. Jake would try to intimidate her by yelling and hitting walls, but on one occasion he lashed out and hit Jayme on the back with a curtain pole. Meanwhile, in Jayme's hometown of Barron, Wisconsin, the search for her was relentless. Over 2,000 volunteers combed rural areas, hoping to see any signs of her. It was during this media frenzy that Jake finally learned Jayme's full name, along with the names of her parents. The FBI offered a $25,000 reward for any details of where Jayme could be, and her parents' employer also offered a further $25,000 reward. Jayme's poster circulated, strangers attended her parents' funeral, and many tips were offered to police. The community grieved, hoped, and waited. But over time, Jake became so cocky. He knew that Jayme was scared of him and assumed that she would never try to escape. So eventually, he just started leaving the doors unlocked when he was leaving the house. 88 days into her captivity, Jayme found an incredible amount of courage to save herself. On the 10th of January 2019, Jake told Jayme that he would be gone for around 5 to 6 hours, a time frame that Jayme took as a window of opportunity. At around 4:10 p.m, Jayme pushed the objects that were blocking her in, stuck on a pair of Jake's shoes, and made a run for it. By chance, Jayme ran into a woman named Jeannie Nutter, who was out walking her dog. Jeannie doesn't usually visit her cabin in winter, but fatefully that January she did. Jeannie just saw a girl that clearly was in shock, with matted hair and messy clothes, running towards her, begging for help. She told Jeannie, "I'm Jayme Closs. I don't know where I am. He killed my parents. Please help. I want to go home." Although Jeannie didn't know Jake, she did recognise his name from his mailbox. So to increase Jayme's chances of safety, she took Jayme a little further down the street to a neighbour's house, where the police were called.
No, I don't want to take her over.
Douglas County 911.
Hi. I have a young lady at my house right now, and she says her name is Jayme Closs.
Okay, what's your address?
It's in Gordon, Wisconsin.
Okay, have you seen her photo, ma'am?
Yes, it is her. I 100% think it is her.
Are you, okay.
100%.
Does it look like she's going to run?
No, she's sitting down, she's relaxing.
Okay, hang on just a second. Okay, did she show up walking?
Yeah, a neighbor just walked up with her to our house and asked us to call 911.
So how did she come up upon your cabin?
I was walking my dog, and we were almost home, and she was walking towards me crying, saying, "You got to help me, you got to help me."
Okay.
So I didn't want to go into my cabin because it's too close to Patterson's house.
And she said her name is Jayme Closs?
Yep. And when I walked into this house, they recognized her immediately from posters.
Jayme was super informative, telling police that Jake Patterson kidnapped her, held her captive, and killed her parents. She also gave them a description of his car, which police spotted driving by very soon after. Neighbours recall Jayme as dazed, quiet, and surprisingly calm, and just how surprised she was to have been recognised. Jake had driven back home and was alarmed when he noticed that the bins around his bed had moved. He went on to check under his bed to find that Jayme had vanished. He searched the rest of the cabin to no avail, before noticing her footprints outside in the snow. Jake underestimated 13-year-old Jayme, as she had finally escaped, despite Jake's confidence that she never would. He jumped back into his maroon Ford Taurus to search for Jayme, which is when the police spotted him. Jake instantly stated he knew what it was about and confessed, "I did it." He was swiftly arrested with his bail set to $5 million. During his questioning, Jake confessed everything. He told investigators he'd fantasized about abducting a girl for about 3 years prior, and that one September morning, he'd spotted Jayme getting on the school bus while he was driving to work. He didn't know her, nor had he ever spoken to her, but in that moment, he said, "I knew that she was the girl I wanted to take." Jake detailed all his meticulous thoughts and planning that went in to prevent being caught, including stealing license plates from another car, as he didn't want to end up being spotted with his own license plates. He removed the interior light and trunk light of his car so that they wouldn't illuminate when opening the doors, and he also removed the trunk cord that would release the boot if pulled from the inside. He shared all of the events leading up to that night too. That in October, roughly a month after spotting Jayme, Jake made 2 prior attempts to abduct Jayme, but on both occasions he noticed movement within the house, so aborted his plans until the 15th of October, on which night, as we well know, he armed himself with his dad's shotgun. He made sure to leave his phone at home so it couldn't be tracked, and he even shaved his face and all of his hair so not to leave any at the scene. Then following the incident, he later burned his gloves along with Jayme's clothes from that night to try and destroy any form of incriminating evidence. During questioning, Jake even hinted at having sexual motives, but he claimed that the guilt of what he'd already put Jayme through prevented him from acting upon them. He was that arrogant, he bragged to officers that he assumed he had already gotten away with it, having not been caught within the first 2 weeks. Investigators asked what he would have done if police had pulled him over that night of the abduction. He remarked that his shotgun was sat next to him in the passenger seat and that he probably would have shot at them. Jake even spoke about his twisted vision of the future. He said that as time went by, he thought that he and Jayme may be able to start a life together, maybe even get an apartment together the following year. He's clearly not all there in the head. He told investigators that they watched TV together, played board games, cooked and talked, but never about that night. While he was drunk one night, Jake even allowed Jayme to write a letter to her auntie, with the conditions that she can't mention him. Cruelly though, Jake never posted this letter, as it was later found in his backpack. What makes this case even more disturbing is how ordinary Jake appeared on the outside. No prior arrests, no criminal record, just a quiet, unnoticed young man hiding something horrific behind closed doors. Following her escape, Jayme was admitted to hospital and released the following day to the custody of her Aunt Jennifer. You might remember me mentioning that Jayme's parents' employers offered a $25,000 reward for information regarding Jayme's location. In a heartfelt gesture, they awarded that money directly to Jayme herself, in recognition of her unimaginable bravery. Then, on the 24th of May 2019, Jake Patterson pleaded guilty to 2 counts of first-degree intentional homicide and 1 count of kidnapping, claiming that his actions were mostly impulsive. The judge sentenced him to 2 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole, plus an additional 40 years behind bars. In a powerful victim impact statement, Jayme wrote, "I was smarter. I watched his routine and I took my freedom back. I will always have my freedom and he will not. Jake Patterson can never take my courage. He thought he could control me, but he couldn't." Jayme's strength is nothing short of remarkable. To survive something so traumatic and then speak with such clarity and defiance, it's a level of resilience that's hard to put into words. While the journey of healing is undoubtedly ongoing, one thing is certain. Jayme Closs took her life back, and in doing so became a symbol of courage far beyond her years. Thank you so much for watching, and if you found this story powerful, please consider liking, subscribing and turning on notifications so you never miss another video.